Good morning. Welcome back in on Colatown, our city, our stories. Big thanks to Erica Staley and Captain Michael Blair for joining us in the first half. Really enjoyed having them in the studio with us. And now we're going to turn our attention to something totally different for the second half of the program. We want to welcome in Nicole Broner, who is a Multimodal Transportation Coordinator, which is a cool title because I can't wait to even hear who names that title. That is a cool title. But we're going to talk about city planning and discuss bike and pedestrian count, and that all goes ultimately to bike and pedestrian safety and just being included, making sure that we know who you are and that you're out there. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in over the next 25 minutes or so. But Nicole, welcome to Colatown.
Thank you so much.
I'm really glad you're here. Appreciate you coming in. The Multimodal Transportation Coordinator. When you were 6 years old, did you ever think that would be your title?
Absolutely not. But being a multimodal transportation coordinator for the city of Columbia is something that I'm just thinking, wow, that was never really a title until it's,
What's the purpose of it? What is the purpose of what you do in terms of like who are you trying to help?
So I'm actually here to help both cyclists and pedestrians as well as motorists. We want to make sure that roadways are safe for all users, not just for vehicles,
right? But
we want to make sure that people can get wherever they need to go, whether that's on foot, whether that's cycling, whether that's with any sort of crutches or ambulatory devices or cars.
We have seen some changes, like most recently 5 Points I think about in terms of trying to be a little bit more pedestrian friendly and things like that. The mayor, who's going to be on the afternoon drive today with us from 4:30 to 5:30, he's talked about one of his biggest goals being the connectivity and the ability to basically, if you live down here as a student or even as a retiree, being able to walk around safely or bike around and have the opportunity of not having to use a vehicle, but be able to get around and to be able to do so more safely. So someone like you, I think, is maybe never been more important to our community in terms of your job, your position, and your goal, because, Nicole, you're trying so hard to just make sure there's a safe path for everybody.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Connectivity is one of the main goals of my position. We want to make sure that wherever you need to get to, like I said previously, you can do that whether you're on foot, on bike, or in a car. And sometimes people just don't really have a car, or they may not have a bike. So being able to get someplace on foot is very, very vital to a thriving community.
Okay, so let's identify more of what's going on, because when I think about what you're talking about, there's two things I've noticed. I mean, I've worked downtown Columbia forever, and I drive downtown Columbia, and I live in Columbia, and all those things. But what I've noticed is a couple of things. Sometimes people aren't paying attention to people as they're trying to cross the street. There's that. I think the city's done a better job of creating. I've even heard some of the verbal counts when you're trying to. I think about it up over by the State House. I remember hearing that one a lot when I'm at that red light right in front of the State House, and it's actually counting down how long you have to get across a Gervais, things like that. But there's things like that matter. But my big concern, though, is for folks, you shouldn't be in a situation where you're trying to cross a major intersection and you're 2/3 of the way, and all of a sudden you see that it's about to change to green for the other folks, and it's not because you're dilly-dallying. It's just there wasn't enough time or this or that. So what you guys are trying to create is a better count of how many people are in that situation. Is that a fair statement? How many people are on bikes, are on foot? You're trying to figure out what the need is?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about when you recognize, are we doing a good job of this? Do we need a better count? How did you figure out that maybe we need help on this?
So the bicycle and pedestrian counts started back in 2014. This was before we implemented our Walk by Columbia master plan. You can find that on our website in our resources. So with Walk by Columbia, we want to make sure that there are the gaps are identified and we are able to close them, whether that's bicycle facilities such as protected bike lanes, or gaps in pedestrian facilities such as sidewalks, or even crosswalks with the safe, with the counts,
right,
or the counting down of.
Now, is that more for hearing impaired?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that's for
What a great tool that is.
like hearing and vision impaired.
Right.
There was one count cycle that we had a blind pedestrian that was trying to cross, and someone observed him just having to wait and use his own kind of auditory experience to see, or well, not see, but like hear
exactly. I know what you mean.
when vehicles would stop.
And obviously, even if this person is sight impaired, if they hear the countdown, they know how much time they have to get across safely.
Exactly.
I mean, that's phenomenal. And obviously, for those that might be hard of hearing, or all of these are just empowerments to allow people to have a little bit more of a level playing field. Yeah. Which, again, you don't want anybody to not feel safe walking our streets or being able to cross an intersection just because they might have a disability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that we do the counts, one of our count locations is actually along Millwood. And these count locations typically are like selected when we see hotspots in cyclists or pedestrians, and when there are...
It's been bad. Millwood's had a lot of problems. I know we put in not that long ago the flashing lights up.
The hawk signal.
Yeah, right where it was really a problem.
Yeah.
Now we just got to make sure people use them.
Yes.
Because obviously you put them in there for people, and so hopefully people will at least take advantage of it for their own safety. Because you got people coming around on Millwood, and for folks that don't know down here, people are flying by pretty quickly, and so if we can. There have been too many incidents of people trying to cross that street, that road. So take me back in time a little bit. How long have you been doing this?
So I have been with the city since September, so I am still relatively new to the
area. So you're a newbie?
Yeah.
You're new to the area? Where are you from?
I'm actually from Dayton, Ohio.
Really? What brought you to Columbia?
So what brought me to Columbia is I actually just fell in love with the area.
Yeah.
I've been through it. I traveled through with my family. We used to do travel basketball, and we had some games down here and in Charleston.
Right.
So this was just an area that I fell in love with.
That's great, Nicole. We're happy you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad. And since you got here, obviously now working with the city and have an opportunity to do this, what a cool thing. Be a difference maker. That's good. So are you an actual Dayton Flyer? I mean, did you go to Dayton or?
I actually went to their rival school in Cincinnati.
So why would you say go Dayton Flyers then?
Because Dayton Flyers have like a special place in my heart.
Okay. So when you say you went to the rival, like Cincinnati Bearcats or
Xavier
Oh,
University.
Xavier.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I get you now. Okay, yeah. That's a rivalry for sure. So you're down here, and again, this is what's different about here. And I'm from Michigan way back when, so I understand the North versus the South in terms of weather. But what's different here is because we have great weather. Today excluded. It's nasty out, but great weather most year round temperature wise. You can be outside for 12 months a year here. You can ride a bike for most of the months here without any difficulty, and that's a big difference from what we had up north. In that obviously there's 4, 5, 6 months that you're putting that bike away and you're not using it. Here it's really essential. And then when you look at the fact that we've got a military community here, and we've got obviously the college community here, you have a lot of people who are commuters by way of walking or bicycles.
Precisely.
There's a huge need for us to make sure we have accurate counts.
Exactly. And with those accurate counts, we want to make sure that there are 36 locations. All of these are hot spots of where we find a lot of pedestrians and cyclists just out in the community. And those are all the locations where if you can go out and count, because we are always looking for volunteers, we would love for you guys to do so.
So let's talk about specifically what that is. You have a program now.
Yes.
And let's get started on this a little bit and talk a little bit about what this program is, because one of the reasons why you came on the radio with me today on Colatown is to try and do some reaching out and saying, hey, if you're looking for something to help, you want to give back a little bit, we can use some assistance.
Yeah.
How so?
So one of the ways is you can sign up for either Walk by Columbia. We have an email list, or you can sign up through Columbia Compass. That's a monthly email as well. Or you can sign up through our webpage. If you navigate to City of Columbia's Planning and Development, looking up our bicycle and pedestrian counts 2026, it'll pull up, it'll tell you exactly where the locations are, and it will have a link at the bottom that you can click.
So, again, what are the qualifications? Like, do you need a certain age or anything like that? Or obviously we want adults, but
yes.
But I mean, are we looking for who? I mean, I would think there'd be some retirees that would be perfect for this, things like that.
I will say, as someone who counted previously last year, it is fantastic people watching. If you are someone that enjoys people watching, this will be a very easy ask. It's only 2 hours. If you go out on Sunday, it's from 10 to noon. If you do it during the weekday, it's from 7 to 9 a.m.
And so bottom line is are you given like a chart, or what do you just stand there and chart what you see? Yeah,
pretty much. Once you sign up, you'll actually get an email directly from me sending you your form saying thank you very much. And once your day comes, which is between April 11th and April 25th this year.
So this is only just a quick little, we need your help for 15 minutes and then you're done. I mean, facetious about the 15 minutes, but what I'm saying is this is not, you're not making a lifelong commitment here.
No,
we're not asking that much of you.
Not at all. No.
Right.
But it is really helpful when we do have enough volunteers to get all those locations done. So when you go out, I would recommend, especially when it's sunny, bring a hat, bring sunscreen, bring some sunglasses, a hard surface to fill out your form, and a pen. Or if you find a nice spot to just park your car, get a sweet treat and a drink and just watch.
Yeah. And so bottom line is they are collecting data that will be turned into the city, basically saying this is how busy this intersection was during this time.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's it. I mean, you're basically sitting there and counting.
Yes.
Yeah. I just think, again, I don't want to be melodramatic. I'm not trying to but you can save lives. You actually are giving back something where you're going to collect that data and say, well, all right, well, this is much busier. We need to be doing more here, more there, less over here, and putting your resources in the right spot. So when we come back after the break, I want to talk a little bit about what's going to happen after the 25th when the data collection is done and what you'll do with that. So we'll talk about that in our second half a little bit, and we'll also give people a way to get in touch to say if they want to volunteer, how they'll do all of that. We'll do all that in just a little bit. But if you're just joining us, it's Colatown. We're glad you're on board for this Monday morning. It's Our City, Our Stories, and in studio with us, we have Nicole Broner, the Multimodal Transportation Coordinator for the City of Columbia. Stick around. We're coming back with our final segment, Colatown on the Point. (9:47). Welcome back in on Colatown, Our City, Our Stories. And in the studio with me, I'm really happy that we're getting a chance. I get to meet such cool people that are so committed to helping others. I love this. But Nicole Broner is with us, the Multimodal Transportation Coordinator. See, it's rolling off the tongue a lot easier for me now than when we first started. But Nicole's here with us, and we've been talking about bike and pedestrian counts and making sure we are accurate because we're trying to make these intersections. You said you had about 36 hot spots?
Yes.
Yeah, we're trying to make these intersections safer for people. And so real quick, just in case people are just joining us, I just want to make sure we're making an ask here. We're asking for a little volunteerism. Not a big commitment.
No.
Okay, we're not a couple hours out of your life, one time in the spring, maybe one time in the fall, if you can do both. But real quick, what's the ask one more time?
Yeah, so the ask is 2 hours of your time. If you sign up during the weekday, it's from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., and if you sign up during the weekend, it's 10 a.m. to noon. So what you're going to do is you're going to sign up through the City of Columbia webpage. Apparently, there is a nice, beautiful banner that has everything right on top that you can click. And with that, you can just navigate to the link below, select your day, select your location. Then I'll send out a form to you, and that'll be it.
Yeah. And so this is a 2-week program that goes from the 11th to the 25th of April.
Yes.
And again, we're asking for one shift, if you would, 1 2-hour shift. And we need to fill all those up so that we can make sure we get the data. And then let's just say we get to April 25th and you've gotten everything you need. Nicole, tell me what happens from there.
So what happens from there is I'll send out a reminder for you guys to send back in your forms, and that's when I actually start consolidating the data, both qualitative and quantitative. If you walk the corridor that you're looking at, you can report back to me, oh yeah, this sign is down, this sidewalk is cracked, there are no ADA ramps, or I saw people jaywalking, this is how many pedestrians, this is how many cyclists. The form is so dense with information, but we want to make it as easy as possible for volunteers to,
So the form tells you what to look for.
Exactly.
Right. And you just mentioned some things I think we need to kind of go over, because a lot of things that people don't expect or might take for granted. Let's say that you are somebody that is disabled and you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Okay. How difficult is it for you to get across if there's nothing but curb?
Exactly.
And not a ramp? How difficult is it if there's a big crack in the sidewalk and it's not level? Things like that. If you're on crutches, how long does it give you to get from one side of the street to the other?
Exactly.
So these are all things that this data is going to help you to put together.
Yes, and once we have all of that data consolidated, we can start looking at hotspots that still need our attention. And then from there, we have strategies and implementation ideas in place to give to either Richland County or to SCDOT.
Right, because again, the city doesn't control most of the lights. Obviously, the city, they're within the city, but then you need to give it to the others because they're the ones who have the actual jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Which I know is frustrating. The mayor talks about it all the time because people call him on when he's on the show. And, not one of our roads. Not one of our roads.
Exactly.
I want to take notes from what you're telling me. I'll make sure I tell DOT. But as I think he's told us something like, the DOT or the county controls like 78-80% of the roads, and the city has only like 16% or something that the city actually is their own roads.
Yeah, we don't own all of our roads, but the ones that we do own are the ones that we are able to kind of see that turnaround happen a little faster.
Right.
But that's why I'm here.
Sure.
I'm here to help coordinate with Richland County and SCDOT in order to make sure that we get those done in a timely manner and we implement the strategies that we said we could. So,
okay, let's say we've identified an intersection where there's a hot spot and an intersection where we're seeing some issues take place. Forget about the jurisdiction side of it. Let's just assume it gets done. What do you guys make recommendations? How does it work?
Oh, absolutely. So say this is a hot spot where we've seen a lot of cyclist strikes.
Right.
So one of the things that we can do is actually create a pedestrian leading intersection. So what that does is it gives pedestrians a little bit more time to cross. Same with cyclists. So they'll be able to get across a lot safer in a more timely fashion before vehicles actually start moving.
Right.
Or we could also start implementing bike lanes and protected bike lanes, which provides a buffer between our vehicles and cyclists themselves.
Sure. That's one of the more interesting things to talk about with cyclists, for example, because we want to make sure that they realize, and I've seen it go both ways, so I'll say it this way. We want to make sure they realize, yes, you're not a motorized vehicle, but you're still a vehicle on the road, and you still need to be respected and given passage and right-of-ways and things like that when they're due. But the other thing is, bicyclists out there need to also understand you got to play by the rules. If you see a red light, you just can't coast on through it just because you think it's clear. I mean, if you're going to ride on the road, you got to play by the rules of the road.
Yes.
And that's so it's twofold. It's we want to make sure you're safe, but you also got to contribute.
Exactly.
Do your part.
Exactly.
So.
We want to make sure that roads are safe for all users.
Right.
And that in doing so, that means you have to follow the rules as well.
Sure. And you mentioned something I think needs to be talked about a little bit, Nicole. Jaywalkers.
Yes.
Because look, we all want to get from A to B as fast as we can. I understand that we are a fast food society. No time to wait. We want to do everything immediately.
Yes.
But there's a reason why crosswalks have been put where they are, where certain intersections are the way they are. There's a reason. There's been studies done that before ever a light goes in or before this goes on, there's a lot of surveying that gets done to determine the most best spot for these things to take place. So it doesn't help when you got jaywalkers.
It doesn't help, but we do have strategies for that.
Yeah.
So kind of like how you mentioned on Millwood and even down Taylor, we have our hawk signals.
Right.
These are considered mid-block crossings, and that's just because sometimes the distance between one crosswalk and another can be so vast
Sure.
that trying to get from one to the other in order to just get across the street where, your destination
Right.
is right there.
Right.
A mid-block crossing could be used.
Yeah, and I think these mid-block crossings are good for two purposes. One, certainly with what we were seeing on Millwood Avenue here, you were seeing so many people just, it's like playing the game of Frogger, trying to get across the road and dodging cars, that what this is for people that don't know is it's not a light that just changes regularly. It's a light that you activate basically when you get there and you need a safe crossing.
Yes.
So there's that. But then the other side of that is the one you mentioned on Taylor. That one I understand much more, not so much because of jaywalking and crossing, but because now with Finley Park reopened, it is essential to make sure people can get across from parking and just across from neighborhoods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's for.
Tell you what, that's good thinking. We need that kind of thinking and all that because the last thing you need, I don't mean you, I mean universally speaking, the last thing any of us need in our community is to hear beautiful Finley Park has been reopened and we love it and we want as many people to go there as possible. And then all of a sudden we hear it's not safe to get across the road of Taylor to get into Finley Park.
Exactly.
That is, nobody wins that way.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure there's safe path for everybody. And same thing with locations like here on Millwood and all that. I've been in this building basically every day for 13 years. And I'm telling you, Nicole, the number of times we would have ambulances going and people getting hit. And a lot of times it was older folks that were trying to get across Millwood. And it was tragic. And so when they put that midway thing in, I just felt like, okay, I hope people will use it because it's there to save a life. It's really and truly could be a game changer for somebody who has to get across the road. All right, we got about 3 minutes to go.
Gotcha.
Let's tackle how people, again, can get involved and what is expected of them.
Absolutely. So if you navigate to the City of Columbia's website, click that banner that says Pedestrian and Bicycle Count 2026 at the top of the page. It'll navigate you to the link where you can sign up. If you select your date, your time, it will open up which locations are available still, and you'll get a nice email from me with the form and confirmation of your day. So once your day comes up, just go out, whether you're sitting in your car or have a nice little lawn chair. Make sure you have water, pen, pencil, or any hard
Whatever
surface.
comfort you need,
Yeah, and just enjoy and people watch.
Yeah.
Just count your cyclists, count your pedestrians, count your jaywalkers. And
the form tells you basically everything you're looking for
Exactly.
and how to chart it.
Yes.
Okay, so then they get done.
Yes.
How do they return them to you?
So one way they can return them to me is they can actually take a photo front, back, and send it to me. Send it to my email. My email is nicole.broner@columbiasc.gov. And then I'll send
And that's on the form too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then you can you'll get another email from me saying
Received, right.
Got it. And from there, that's all you really have to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, you've made it as user-friendly, to use that term, but as friendly as possible, as easy as possible. Again, no one's asking you to say that you have to physically drive it down to the city and drop it off there or anything like that. You can scan it, you can take a picture of it, send it back that way, and your responsibility and you're done. And then you have the city's gratitude. You have Nicole's gratitude.
Yes, you do.
You have my gratitude. I just want people to be safe. I mean, look, there are certain things, we can't control that happen. I mean, accidents do occur. But when we can take control of situations like this and we can minimize the potential for accidents by looking at things, making safer environments, that's when the city's at its finest. I mean, that's where we're not talking about red tape or bureaucracy or too much government, this or that, getting in our way. This is where the city, behind the scenes, is just saying, we want to create a safer thing. We're not infringing on anybody. We're just trying to help.
Yes, and we can go over all types of strategies, all types of implementation.
I love it.
We can do all of that. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to nobody should ever feel like they are going to lose their life trying to cross the street.
Thank you, Nicole.
Absolutely.
Colatown, on the point.